Over the past few years, numerous clinical studies have shown that an individual should get 8 hours of sleep a night to function well. But most Americans are getting significantly less than 7, and new research has shown that there is an undeniable link between the rise in obesity and the rise of sleep disorders. In this clip, Dr. Ruth Buczynski interviews Dr. Rubin Naiman about the debilitating effects of sleep loss and the true difference between being awake and sleeping.
I'm Dr. Ruth Buczynski, a licensed psychologist in Connecticut and president of the National Institute for Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine. Our guest today is Dr. Rubin Naiman. He is a psychologist who specializes in the study of sleep and dream. He's the author of Healing Night, The Science and Spirit of Sleeping, Dreaming, and Awakening. And that's a fascinating book that we'll get more into the whole topic of sleep today. Dr. Naiman is the director of Circadian Health Associates, and he's assistant clinical professor of medicine at the University of Arizona's Center for Integrative Medicine. Why are sleep disorders becoming more prevalent?
Well, first, let me say that it's a very important point that they're becoming much more prevalent. We have data that goes back about 100 years, and we know over the past century we're sleeping about 20% less than we did then. But the newer data is showing that there's a steady decrease in the total number of hours we sleep, both among adults and among adolescents in the past couple of decades. Why that's the case, I think the big answer to that is sort of a social, cultural answer, and it's quite important. It has to do with lifestyle. Most of us know very well that we seem to have to be running faster and faster, even just to stand still in so many ways in our lives. I think at a more pragmatic level, sleep disorders are more prevalent because we have misunderstood what they're really about. We tend to cast them in our world today as primarily medical issues. So if we don't sleep well, we think it's a medical concern, and we have all these medical diagnoses, and there's a place for that, but there's a loss of the larger picture, which again it's a lifestyle issue.
How much are people sleeping? What was the research finding about what amount people are sleeping nowadays?
Well, most Americans are getting less than 7 hours a night, 6 hours or something. Some are getting significantly less than that. I think we've all encountered people who wear their short sleeping as a badge of honor. They think it's great that they can get by with less and less sleep. But we know the data that we have shows that, and again, it's hard to pin an average figure on an individual, but we need at least 8 hours of sleep. We probably need about 8 hours and 15 minutes on average. I'm always fond of communicating the fact that Albert Einstein slept 10 hours a night.
Really?
And it didn't seem to hurt his productivity much.
Let's go on to something that I think most people are interested in, and then that is connection between obesity and insufficient sleep.
Yeah, very, very important connection. And if you look at the graphs, they tend to line up with it. When you look at a graph indicating the increases in sleep disorders and the growth of obesity in this country. You know, the short of it is that sleep loss triggers insulin resistance. And I think most people are now aware that insulin resistance is a pre-diabetic condition. It's sort of a compromised insulin function. We know that losing 3 or 4 hours, having one bad night of sleep, is associated with a dramatic spike in insulin resistance the next day. There's more recent data showing that losing a little bit of sleep every night, half hour, an hour, which people frequently do, is associated with chronic compromised insulin resistance. And over time, this, of course, leads to diabetes, and it's very, very tightly correlated with obesity.
Let's go over the myths about and misconceptions about.
Yeah, this is really important. I was saying earlier that I think there's a very important consciousness piece here. And, you know, we're a culture that tends to not be that interested in altered states of consciousness. We're less and less interested in dreaming. And I think it's one of the reasons we see rises in drug and alcohol use. I think those are clumsy ways that people get pulled into trying to expand their consciousness. From a consciousness perspective, from a waking world perspective, we tend to see sleep as being nothing. You know, people think that when they're asleep that there's just nothing going on. We tend to see sleep as a knockout, and it's actually not the case. There's growing evidence, and in fact, a lot of this comes from studying accomplished meditators that it's actually that sleeping and waking are not opposite, mutually exclusive conditions. That you can be asleep and awake at the same time. Now, most of us have had the experience occasionally of somebody saying, hey, wake up, and turning around saying, hey, leave me alone, I'm sleeping. Well, you probably are. A lot of people have had the experience of being in a very sweet nap and kind of knowing that they're sleeping. We've all heard about lucid dreaming. I'm interested also in lucid sleep and the potential for there to be co-consciousness, for there to be awareness alongside of sleep. And that means, from a Buddhist perspective, awareness without objects of awareness.
There's a lot more to learn about sleep disorders. For more information, visit our blog at www.nicabm.com/NICABM-blog, or attend a free teleseminar at www.nicabm.com/teleseminar/2009. This December, NICABM will host its 21st International Psychology of Health, Immunity, and Disease Conference on the beautiful Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. Hundreds of practitioners will be coming from all over the United States and many parts of the world. Among the nearly 50 speakers, Dr. Naiman will be giving a class called Healing Sleep and Dreams, an Integrative Approach. There will be several other sessions on related topics, including the cortisol connection, why stress makes you fat and ruins your health, digestive wellness and the systemic consequences of imbalance, vitamin D3, key to a healthy brain and mind, and emotions and chronic musculoskeletal pain. To see more information about the conference and to sign up to attend and receive CE credits, please visit www.nicabm.com.